Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Nice to see you all. We are going to make a nice slow start. So, a couple blocks or block substitutes will be really, really lovely for this morning. It's going to be, a little more of a dynamic flow today. But it doesn't always mean you have to practice dynamic. As always, it's your space to kind of explore what makes the most sense for you and your body. So I'll give out lots of different options you can kind of play around with. And yeah, we'll get into it. So, as always, if you just want to begin by finding somewhere that's going to be relatively comfortable today, so whether it's a lying down place, you can be supported seated, so maybe leaning on a wall, a chair, or maybe like me, you're on the ground. I'm sitting on blocks. And something, I've been offering out recently. I think lots of us, when we do sit on blocks, try to fit ourselves on one block, which can be fine, but also can feel, just not the most stable. And two blocks, revolutionary. So whether you want to put them together or put them in front of one another, or maybe you've got a lovely cushion or something like that. Take your time once you've found where you'd like to be, just to begin to settle into your posture. So if there are movements and things you want to start to invite in, feel free to take any little wriggles, movements that are going to be helpful to allow you to start to settle. If you feel like today is a day where you need to keep movement consistent to find that settling, you are welcome to. As I kind of touched on earlier, giving ourselves the space to start to cultivate a practice that's ours. Once you have found where you'd like to be, it's often nice to begin by softening the eyes in some form. So whether you're lowering them down or taking them down to a close, just beginning to find that gentle bit of softening. Giving ourselves some time and space. Firstly, just to land in your space. So it can often sort of seem like obvious would be the word, an obvious cue to land here because you might already feel in your space. But what I mean by that is starting to allow your attention just to gently begin to settle. We can gently start to gather our focus, our attentiveness to start to come in towards practice. A lovely way to do that is often by using the rhythm of breath that flows in and out the body. You can picture the breath as kind of this tool that just gently starts to gather, starts to collect. Excuse me. Breath by breath, just starting to find a gentle focusing, a gentle listening. Trying not to judge if that's something that feels quite simple today or something that feels perhaps a little more challenging. Every day we're going to be different, so we try to give ourselves the space to embrace all of the kind of different spectrums of where we might be at on a day-to-day basis. So today, for our intention or offering of an intention, I'm actually going to read a little teaching that I have found super, super helpful. So this is from a wonderful teacher called Bob Sharples. And they say. Don't practice to fix yourself, to heal yourself, to improve yourself, or to redeem yourself. Rather, do it as an act of love, of deep, warm friendship to yourself. In this way, there's no longer any need for the subtle aggression of self-improvement, for the endless guilt of not doing enough. It offers the possibility of an end to the ceaseless round of trying so hard that wraps so many people's lives in a knot. Instead, there is now practice as an act of love. How endlessly delightful and encouraging. I think that's a really gorgeous summary of how practice can become a place that we, really come to build this deep trust and this deep friendship for ourselves. So if that feels interesting to maybe explore in the way you move, the way you breathe today, feel free to bring that in. Sometimes when I'm working with an intention like this, I think it can be sweet to bring to mind a close friendship or an intimate relationship in your life. And just take a moment to think of some of the qualities that might be in that relationship. If there's humor there, maybe there's patience, there's listening, understanding. And then if there's one of those things, a quality that kind of sticks out today that resonates, maybe that's something you decide to offer into yourself today. When you're ready, we're going to take a couple deep sighs. You can roll the shoulders or any other movements that go with them if you like. Deep breath in. Sighing it out. Couple more like that. Big breath in. Letting it go. One more at your own pace. From where you are, you can let the chin drop down to the chest and just gently begin to rock the head side to side. Now, whether the breath would like to stay as a steady breath today, maybe there's an ujjayi controlling the breath gently in the back of the throat. But keeping the breath with you as you start to move, start to gently ease into feeling. You can start to expand this movement around the neck as and when you feel ready. Whether it's circling, moving freely, a figure of 8. And as always, other parts of the body want to start to move around the shoulders, the chest, the hips. Just beginning to move and breathe in a way that feels like it allows you to start to feel in, to connect in. Coming back to stillness when you're ready. We'll sync together movement and breath. Let's inhale, sweep up the arms, look up towards the hands. And then as you exhale, tracing them down through center. One more like that. The inhale's going to sweep up, expand it up. Exhale, press palms, draw it down. We'll inhale the arms up just one more time. Then we're going to interlace the hands here. Start to press the heels of the hands up to the ceiling. And then gently tipping over to the right hand side. Pause with the sensation. Ground through the sit bones. Try to keep the breath steady with it. Gently back through center. And then finding your second side. You can come back through center and then explore some free movement. So that's tipping back side to side, more of kind of a corkscrewy, circly feeling. Sometimes taking the hands forwards can be a nice one. Just another breath in your own way. No right or wrong to the movement. And then let it release. Take a bit of movement in the shoulders, just ease that out. And then we'll meet in a tabletop position. So having the hands underneath the shoulders and the knees around hips distance apart. We're going to start by turning the fingertips so they point towards the edges of the mat. And just begin with a little bit of movement, rocking side to side. Opening into the wrists and coming into proprioception in the hands, feeling in the hands. You can grip the fingers, notice sensation in the fingers, the knuckles, the heels of the hands. You can keep the movement quite steady, or if you felt like exploring your own expression, just beginning to welcome in any more organic movements along the spine. Keeping the breath with you. If we just start to pay attention, start to come into feeling. Gently start to draw the fingertips back forwards. And we'll take our more traditional cat-cow. Inhale's going to wrap the shoulders back, lift the heart up. Then as you exhale, doming the spine. Chin to chest. 2 more like that. Inhale, open it up. Exhale's going to round. I'm going to do 1 more like that. Inhale opens. This time as you find the end of your exhale, we'll start to make our way to our downward facing dog. Now it's our first full down dog of the practice, potentially your first down dog of the day. So you can always start gentle with yourself. Whether that means bending both the knees, maybe you want to invite in some movement that you normally like to take that feels good to start to welcome you into the body. Checking out how the backs of the legs are doing today, how the spine is doing today, the shoulders, the wrists. And just beginning to breathe with it. If, like me, you might have just noticed maybe you've got a bit more of a blocked nose than you thought you did. Okay, nice. Start to find just a little bit of grounding. Press through the hands, reach your way through the heels. Inhale, let's bring the right leg up to the sky. Bend the knee and open the hip. 1 more breath there, relax down the neck. And then slowly bring the foot back down. We're going to go straight to second side, nice and simple today. Inhale, left leg up, bend the knee, open the hip. Pause for a breath, relax the neck, chin to chest. And then both feet together. Then we'll start to make our way to the top of the mat. Whether you want to walk there, step there, or jump there, we're all going to meet in Uttanasana, forward fold, little bend in the knees. When you find your inhale, we'll come up halfway, draw the shoulders back. Exhale to ripple back down. 1 more like that, find the breath. And down. Always a standing, pressing down through your feet, lift up your hands, lift up your gaze, looking up to the thumbs. Then Samastitihi will bring the hands down through prayer. Couple breaths here to get steady. See what feels good in the feet today. Hips distance, wider, or toes together, heels slightly apart. Start to find your grounding through these points of contact in the feet. Think of the big toes, the heels, and the sides of the feet. Start to root down. Notice how the body lifts. Let's shrug the shoulders up. If you want to sigh, you can sigh. So we draw them down. Let the fingertips draw down like they were trying to reach the ground. Come back to your ujjayi or steady breath. Collecting that awareness back in. Coming back to what you're practicing for today. And we'll start with a Surya A. Inhale, sweep up the arms, look up to the thumbs. As you exhale, a little bend in the knees, forward fold, chin drops down to the chest. Inhale is a halfway lift, shoulders back. Your your transition, hands to the ground. You can walk, step, or jump your feet back to your plank. Knees can be up or down. Inhale. Exhale, come the whole way down. Draw the elbows in. Inhale as cobra. Grip the fingers, drag the chest through point toes. Exhale, starting to explore your return towards down dog. As always, if you want to detour a little bit along the way, maybe it's a child's pose on either side. Maybe it's coming back to tabletop. Take any movements. I know down dog is always, always, always interchangeable for either one of these spaces. For me this morning, I've started to move, and I think I've discovered I'm going to stay in my tabletop. Let's take one more breath where you are. And we're going to meet with the feet at the top of the mat. If you're in down dog, walk, stepping, or jumping. If you've been in tabletop, we'll start to step a foot forward, then the other. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, back down. Whole way to standing, press down through your feet, lift up hands, look up to the thumbs. Straight back down as you exhale. Dive it down. Inhale, lift, lengthen. Exhale, hands to the ground, walking, stepping, jumping back. Inhaling. And exhaling. Couple breaths. Movements you want to take, shapes you want to explore. Start to bring them in. Okay, when you're ready, we'll start to come back to the top of the mat. Inhale, tiptoes. Bend your knees, walk, step, or jump. Lift the chest. Inhale. Exhale to fold. Whole way to upright. Press down through feet. Lift up hands. Lift up gaze. Look to the thumbs. Last Surya A. Straight back down. Inhale, lift, lengthen. Your vinyasa, if you're jumping, you can always start to work weight to the hands. See if you can get the hips a little higher before you come back. Maybe working on landing with those bent elbows. Exhale. 2 to 3 breaths, whether it's a child's pose, a tabletop, or a down dog. And then we'll make our way back to the top of the mat. Exhale. We'll meet back at standing. Press down through the feet. Lift up hands. Lift up gaze. Samastiti here. Couple breaths here. Inhale. If you want to sigh, you can sigh. Let it go. One more breath. Inhale, chair pose. Sit the hips low. Sweep up the arms. Exhale, Surya B variation, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, your vinyasa is always optional. You can always go straight to down dog, walking, stepping, or jumping, using the breath. Today we're going to inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose, dome the spine. Inhale, the leg high. Really think of pressing the ground away. We're going to work to a crescent lunge today. Inhale, we're going to sweep up the arms, sweep up through the tops of the fingers. Then a little different today, swing the arms back the way they came. Start to point them back towards your glutes. We make a long line with the body, arrow lunge. Start to firm up that left quad. And then we keep going forwards to make our way to a warrior 3. One more breath here. Now this bit might be where you want to start to use your blocks. We're going to make our way down to the ground. So feel free to take your blocks to have them underneath the hands, standing splits. We're going to inhale to lift the chest, otherwise hands can be on the ground. Exhale to fold. One more like that. Exhale. Then journeying it back. Foot comes back down. You can walk, step or jump your way back. Second side. Inhale the left leg high. Knee to nose to own the spine. Inhale high. And this again, we're going to step towards our crescent lunge. Step the foot to the hands. Inhale, we're going to sweep up. Exhale, draw the hands back. Start to make a long, long line. And slowly, slowly, slowly we make our way to our warrior three. One more breath here. Slowly make your way to your standing splits, hands on blocks or hands on the ground, lifting the chest, inhale, exhaling to fold. One more like that. Then deciding on your way back, if you're taking a hop, you're thinking about taking the weight forwards to see if you can take the left leg to the back of the mat first. Try not to take any light fixtures out in your house. And we'll meet back in down dog. 2 to 3 breaths here. Last one. Bring the feet together, tiptoes, bend your knees, walking, stepping or jumping, lifting the chest, and exhale it down. Back to chair pose, bend your knees, sweep the arms up by the ears. And we're going to exhale back. Samastitihi, hands can be down or at prayer. Inhale. If you want to sigh, sigh it out. Okay, I'm going to turn myself around to give myself a bit more space. So, we're going to come back to chair pose. From where you are, sit the hips low, sweep up the arms. I'm going to start by twisting over to the right hand side. So, left knee might go down to the elbow, or there might be a little bit of space. Maybe you want to give yourself a bit more space. So you can take the forearm down to the thigh, other hand to the hip to find these kind of leverage points. Think top of the head forwards, exhaling to rotate. Now we're all going to go down to the ground today. If you like, top arm can lift. One more breath. Come to tiptoes. And then slowly, slowly, starting to bring it down. Now I'm going to give quite a few options you can work with here. First one is going to be our side crow. So we're essentially making this shape on the ground. So if you wanted to go towards that, we take the hands down. We're working on landing the body on bent elbows to see if we can start to peel up the feet. Little sense of a back bend in the chest looking forwards. Might be your thing. You can play with that if you like. Play with your leg shapes. Or if you fancy working your twist today, I like to grab a block. You can place it, lovely, underneath your heels for a bit more stability. I'm going to keep working this twist. So from where we were, right hand can go around your back. You can find a little more opening there perhaps. If you wanted to go more still, left hand is going to go in between the legs, turn the palm back, then we're going to wiggle the hand round. Might go to touch, might just reach back. Wherever you are, again, we'll think top of the head up. Exhale to rotate. Start to release. If you had a block, take it out to the side. Inhale, chair pose. Second side, exhale, we twist. So whether it's the elbow on the thigh or the forearm on the thigh, top of the head forwards. Exhaling to rotate. Then slowly start to come to tiptoes, drop the hips down to the heels. Let me show you second side. If you're going to go for your side crow, you're starting to bend the elbows, think of looking forwards. If you want to play with leg shapes, you can straighten the legs, you can split the legs, have a play around. If you're going to be with me in the twist, I'll take a block, lovely, underneath the heels. And again, we're going to twist towards the left shoulder. You might get enough here. This time, if you'd like to, left hand can go around your back. If you want to like that bind, hand can go in between the legs, turn the palm back to reach back towards one another. If this feels super spacious for you, you can always start to go both. Oh, you might get one of those there. One more breath. And unravelly. All right, any blocks, take them out to the side. Let's meet back in chair pose. Inhale. And exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Now we're going to play with a little bit of touching the toes onto one another. So if you take the hands to the ground, you're going to bend your knees. See if you could get a little touch. Take one more, that think of your shoulders going forwards. And then we're going to take that into our vinyasa if you'd like to. So you're going to use that before you jump the feet back. Boop. And we're going to meet in a child's pose or a resting shape for your body. Maybe allowing the forehead to reach down if that's accessible. Otherwise, we can create a little pillow for the hands, stacking the hands on, the pillow for the head, stacking the hands on top of one another. And just making a little bit of space to come back to the breath. Hi, pals. So from about here, my mic actually lost battery. So I'm now going to be voice recording over the recording. So if I do look out of sync at any point, that just is because I am a little bit out of sync. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to start to make our way back to down dog. If you fancy a vinyasa along the way, there's always this fun little transition from a child's pose going straight to chaturanga, seeing if you can catch on bent elbows. Feel free to give it a go if you like, or just have a little wiggle around as you start to make your way back. Couple breaths here just to get recentered. Start to ground again through the hands and the feet, and then we'll make our way to the top of the mat, walking, stepping or jumping. If you enjoyed the toe claps, you can try give that a go again as we start to come forwards. Inhale lifts the chest. Exhale it down. Coming the whole way back to chair pose. Inhale, sweep up the arms, sit the hips low. Exhale, Samastitihi. Couple moments to get grounded here. Come back to the breath. Then when you feel ready, we're going to start to shift the weight onto the left foot, come onto the right big toe. We're going to slowly play with lifting, squeeze that left glute and use an inhale to lift up the right leg. So we're going to work on some active hip mobility here, so feel free to use the hands to help you as much as you like. We're going to start to peel the knee up and out to the side, keep it going round, 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 round. So then we're kind of in this like active dancer's shape. You can peel the hands back to really open the chest. Inhale. As you exhale, we'll make a warrior 3 shape, lengthening, dropping the toe down, exhale it out to find your warrior 2. So start to find that grounding through the big toes, thinking of turning the hips towards the longer edge of the mat, and then softening the shoulders. So we're going to play a little bit here, start to turn out the back toe. Next exhale, we're going to start to drop the hips to the other side of the mat to come down towards our Skandasana, lifting the chest as you inhale. Then we're going to work it back. You can have a nice fall over, like me if you like, coming back to the top of the mat. And then we'll keep that flowing. Exhale to drop the hips, keep the breath steady, keep the eyes steady if you can. Shift the weight forwards back to warrior 2. Exhale it back last time. Inhale it forwards. Landing here. Then we're going to spin both hands to the ground on the inside of the left foot to start to come towards our lizard pose. Hips are always different. Everyone's hips are different shapes. You might want to heel toe that foot out to the side. Then we're going to start to take some circles. Back knee can be up or down. Exhaling as you come back. And inhale back, up and forwards. 2 more. Exhale, think of twisting, opening it up, almost like heart to ceiling. Coming back. 1 more. Then we're going to pause here this time. You can enjoy the twist like you're trying to wrap that left shoulder up, or you can peel up the back foot. If there's a bind, you can feel free to play with it. If you're quite stable there, we can kind of play with this mermaid bindy balance. Kind of have to wiggle that foot into the elbow if you're going there, or just maybe binding the foot. Lift the chest, 1 more breath. And then the hands will come back down to the ground. So we're going to play around in lizard a little more. So just start to see what feels good for you. Might be a day we want to stay up on the hands. If that feels good, there might be some nice sensation. Feel free to use a prop. If you want to drop the elbows onto something, maybe if they come down to the ground. Or some of my bendy babes. I know there's some bendy people that watch this. If you want to start to bind, you can take left shoulder underneath. Or you could even explore starting to kind of wiggle your head underneath the shin. And they're not places you have to want to work to, but they're there if you feel like exploring a little bit more. Just one more breath in the option you've chosen. Okay, then we're going to twist just one more time, inhaling the arm up. Then we're going to peel up that back knee. We're going to think about turning towards the left shoulder to kind of scoot that left leg halfway up the mat. Then we're going to step it up and over to make our way to our wild thing. Press the big toe to the ground. Think hips to the ceiling. Maybe you drop down the back of the neck. Give the glutes a squeeze. So nice. Okay, we're going to start to come back. We're taking the foot back the way we came. If you can, see if you can pause with the knee up, catch the left knee on to the hand, and then we'll come back to the top of the mat. Okay, so from here, we're going to be meeting back in a child's pose or a down dog. And we're going to start to think about our transition back. If you fancy a vinyasa, you could go straight there, or I'm going to give a little bit of guidance towards our Kundalini 2. It's just kind of an arm balance here. Left shoulder goes underneath the knee, hands will be back under the shoulders. And first we just want to play with seeing if we can create that kind of resistance with the arm to see if we can peel up the foot. Oh, she's going very fast. Maybe you bend the elbows, see if you can land onto them, and you can vinyasa it back in time. Give it a little go, see how it feels today. And then just finding somewhere you can give the body some grounding. So again, whether that's a down dog, whether it's seated or a child's pose, just taking a little bit of time to come back to that steadiness, start to find the breath again. If a couple sighs are helpful, welcome them in as you need. Softening the jaw, gently coming back. When you feel ready, we'll gently start to bring ourselves back, and then we're going to begin to find our way to second side. So going back to your down dog, take a moment to get settled, then finding your inhale to bring you back to your tiptoes. Exhale, bends the knees, then walking, stepping or jumping. You can bring the toe tap in again if you like. Think of looking just beyond the hands. Inhale, lifting up the chest. Exhale, softens it back down, chin to chest. Almost like you're going to try and lift the belly button. Then whole way up to standing. Inhale is going to start to lift us up, looking up to the thumbs. Exhale, we'll start to find our second side. So this time weight comes to the right foot, come onto the left big toe. Squeeze of the glute like you're already balancing on it, as we start to lift the leg. And then slowly we'll start to work the hip round. Using the arms for balance, you can draw it back. Active dancers. Inhale, think of lifting your heel. Exhale to start to make your way to your warrior 3. Then we'll drop the toe down and expand it out, warrior 2. Press through the big toes, maybe you widen your stance, bending into the front knee. Softening the breath. And then we'll go to the back of the mat, turning out the foot, dropping the hips low, Skandasana. Same. We're going to inhale, flow it forward, tip the weight to your front foot, flatten the big toe. Exhale it back, dropping the hips. Inhale back forwards, just one more time. And then as you exhale, last time back to Skandasana. This time as we come forwards, we're going to start to make our way to our lizard pose. So bringing both hands to the ground inside of your right foot. Then again, same. See what feels good. Everyone's hips are a slightly different shape. So it's super common for different sides of the body to feel different. So give yourself that space. Then we'll start to circle. Inhale, right arm up and back. You can let the hips drop as you draw it back. And then drawing it back round, tracing that semicircle. If you want to exaggerate it, think of really peeling through the tips of the fingers, chest to the ceiling. Inhale it back and round. One more inhale. This time we're going to pause. You can hold it here. Think of peeling the chest up or start to bring the back foot up. This bind actually also really depends on the length of your limbs. You might have heard me say I've got really long arms. So for me, tends to be a little simpler. It could also be tight quads that make this one a little harder. And yeah, if you want a mermaid bind, you kind of got to like wiggle it in towards your elbow, point your foot, and then the other hand can come up and over if you're working a little bit of balance. Okay, we're going to release down to the ground. Couple breaths here, just easing back in. And then we're going to hold in our lizard. So if you want to play with levels again, you can come back to using a block, or again, if you were working that bind, or again for my bendy babes, maybe you start to peel under the leg, come to the tiptoe. Just take 2 more breaths in your option so you can find that steadiness on the breath again. If you left your hands, we'll start to journey back to them. Next inhale, we'll start to peel up the right arm, coming back up to your twist. And we're making our way back to Wild Thing. So we're going to hop the right foot halfway up the mat, and then you can gently start to bring it up and over. Press the big toe to the ground. We think hips and heart to the ceiling. Big inhale, squeeze the glutes. Then we're going to come back the way we came. You can play with that little knee catch if you like. And then see if you can slowly bring the foot back to the top of the mat. Okay, from here, your choice of how you'd like to get back to down dog or child's pose. You might step back, you might vinyasa, or we can come back through this kundalini. So we first work this kind of lift of the leg, whether the leg's extended or whether you'd like to bend it back. Then we're drawing the elbows in to try to land the body on the elbows. And if you think of really up dogging the chest, that tends to be what helps us start to find that lift. Have a little play around, finding your own way back. You can ease it back out through a tabletop. And then again, just finding somewhere where you can come back to breath, to grounding. If there are movements you need, feel free to take them. If a sigh is going to be helpful, take as many sighs as you like. And then just gently starting to find just that steadiness of inhale. Returning back to exhale. Okay, when you feel ready, we're going to take a little bit more movement. We're going to start in a downward facing dog and we're working the hands back to the feet. So nice and simple. You can walk yourself back if you like. If you fancy something a little more dynamic, we can take this kind of funny press up. I like to turn my fingertips in, feels more stable for me. Bend the arms and you kind of pushing the weight back to your heels. First couple of times you do it, or maybe, for me, like first year and a half of doing it, it might be a little bit more of a shuffle. So kind of shuffling the hands along the mat. However you get there, we're going to meet a forward fold at the back of the mat this time. Take a bit of movement, and then when you're ready, we're going to heel toe the feet out nice and wide to make our way to Malasana Yogi Squat. So dropping the hips down low. You can take some movement if you like, focus on pressing down through the outsides of the feet. And then we're going to find a way to get to the top of the mat. I'm going to give out a couple of different options. You can take lovely duck walks. This is a really nice one for the hips. If you feel like taking a bit more weight into the hands, we can start with this kind of drag, like a dragging motion to Malasana. Grip the fingers, dragging the feet to the hands. If that feels super comfortable and you wanted to build it up a little bit, we can come back towards that toe touch. So when you take the hands down, you're thinking taking the shoulders over the knuckles, maybe the toes, beep, find one another. And then if that feels comfortable, you can start to play with seeing if you can touch the toes a couple times. So when you're ready, take the hands down, drag forward, see if you can touch. Nope, body didn't want to go. I'll try again. Maybe? Yeah, nice. If you get comfortable with that, or you are a handstander, or you're working towards that at the minute, maybe you've got a wall nearby, feel free to use it. And this is a really similar motion towards a tuck handstand. But for a tuck, we're going to think of squeezing the knees together and bringing the hips up a little more. Nice. So again, not quite for Saz. She's going to give it one more go, see if she can demo it. Oh, last one. There it is. So squeezing the knees. Use the exhale to bring you up. Super helpful. We're all going to meet at the top of the mat as and when you're ready. Coming back. Oh, and then we're going to sit ourselves down to the ground. Sorry, I was wrong. Not at the top of the mat. Lowering down to find yourself onto the ground. And I think we're going to start to wind it down a little from here. So we're going to start with some Marichyasana variations. We're going to bend up the right leg, left leg long, peeling up the arms as you inhale. We're exhaling to fold. We want just about enough space so we can get the right shoulder to the inside of the right knee, and then letting the chin drop down to the chest, so really doming here. Any pinching in the low spine, it can be really nice to sit yourself onto a block, give yourself a little bit more space there. It's a nice way to tilt the pelvis. Might feel lovely here, you can stay. If you're enjoying all of these binds and you want to bind, right arm can kind of circle around the knee, then left hand goes around the back to reach the fingertips back towards one another. Again, this is another one where my long arms really come into play for me. All sorts of factors, but just have a play around with where the pose sort of feels interesting for your body. Also know when you're bound, the fingers don't have to be touching, but it's just that opening in the shoulders really is what we're looking for. Okay, now we're going to come to a twist. Right hand goes around the back. Left hand's going to peel up, and then you can either hug in the knee, you can take it onto an elbow point, or again, if you wanted to twisty bind, this time the arm's going to go in between the hole in the legs as the right hand goes around the back. Wherever you are, the inhale's going to help us find length in the spine. And the exhale will twist it round. Just one more like that. Beginning to unravel. You can remove any props if you were using them. And from here, we're going to start to take a figure 4, flexing the right foot, taking it on top of the thigh, and just little movements to ease that out. Seeing if you can breathe into the sensations. Okay, when you're ready, we'll take the feet back down to the ground. We're going to start to find our way to our second side. So we're going to come through a boat pose. You can have the toes down, you can lift the feet, you can extend the legs, you can extend the arms if you like. 2 more breaths, and then we'll come to second side. So this time the right leg will be long, left foot will be bent in. Again, if you want to take your prop, take your prop. And then we'll inhale to reach the arms up. Exhaling to fold. Allowing the chin to drop down to the chest. Again, you might be here, you might be working your bind. Take your time. If you are bound, once the fingertips touch, thinking of this rolling forwards again, really dome. Let the chin drop to the chest. Slowly unraveling, we'll make our way to our twist. Left hand around the back. Right arm will start to peel up, then either hugging in the knee, again elbow point, or working towards your bind. Once you've found your variation, we'll lift the top of the head. Exhale, peels it round. Beginning to unravel. Any little wiggles that feel good in the shoulders, feel free to welcome them in. Again, if you were using a prop, we'll take it out to the side. And then this time we're going to start to make our way down to the ground, hands underneath the knees. And exhale's going to roll the body down. Taking any little wiggles, any movement that feels interesting or helpful to start to let you settle. And then just taking a few moments just to find the support of the ground. Feeling how it gently comes up to meet you. Now from here, we're going to come through a couple variations of a back bend. If you'd like something more restorative today, we can take this supported bridge, which I'm demoing now. You can have your block on any setting that works for you. And we're kind of looking for this little flat spot sort of near towards the base of the spine. Then you can kind of let the hips rest on there. If it's comfortable for you, sometimes legs extended is a really lovely option. This is where you want to be. You can hang out here. Enjoy this pose. It's absolutely delicious. If you prefer to come through 2 more active back bends, I'm going to guide us through a bridge and then an option to come to wheel. If you know where you're going, you can feel free to go for it. If you're coming with me to bridge, Setu Bandhasana, we'll take the feet in about hips distance. And then on your next exhale, we'll press down through the feet and the hands to begin to peel up the body. You can interlace the hands beneath you if you like and wiggle the shoulders under, lifting the heart towards the chest. When you're ready, inhaling to tiptoes, releasing any binds, and then peeling your way back down. Once you're there, take any movements you need. And then we'll prepare for our second set. Whether you're going back to bridge or if you're going to wheel, reach the fingertips back to the shoulders. Speed is often really helpful. I know it doesn't sound very yogi. But on your exhale, we press through the hands and the feet again. If you're in wheel and you want to work on opening the chest a little deeper, opening the shoulders, think about shifting your heart towards your wrist, sort of pressing it through. And then whichever variation you're in, we can work Zen leg lifts. Shifting the weight to the right, peel the left leg up, inhale. Exhale to draw it down, then slowly switching sides. Inhaling back to tiptoes when you're ready to come down. And using the exhale to peel you down. Once you've found the ground, giving yourself a big squeeze. If you're in your restorative variation, you can begin to release. Take the knees into the chest, little movements if that feels good. I'm going to take our happy baby today. Feet come out nice and wide. Hands can come to the feet or anywhere down along the legs. If movement feels good, you're very welcome to move, whether it's extending the legs or bending them deeper. But just taking some time to come back to sensation. Use the breath to stay with you. Really, really nice. When you're ready, we'll begin to let that release. And then from here, we're going to work a twist on either side. So I'm going to take us through an eagle bind variation, right leg on top of the left, scooting the hips a little bit over to the right, gently encouraging the knees to come over to the left. It'll take a bit of time to settle, because sometimes feel nice to kind of wiggle the shoulders a bit, encourage them to soften here. Maybe also twisting through the neck. And then gently encouraging the body just to begin to open. Take all the time you need. When you feel ready, you can unravel, is what I meant to say. Take any movements, maybe a bit of wiggle. If you took the hips over to the side, bringing them back before second side. This time it will be left leg on top of the right. Shift the hips slightly to the left before allowing the knees to draw over towards the right. Same. If wiggling around the shoulders is helpful, you can welcome that in. Allowing the back of the neck to soften. Just gently beginning to invite in these softer, more surrendering states for practice. Take all the time you need. When you feel ready to release, you can release. And then as always, just a little bit of time to explore any last movements or shapes you'd like to make today before you come to find your Shavasana. So take some time to move. If there are closing sequences you really love that you want to begin to expand into, take your time. Or maybe like me, you feel totally ready to find your version of Shavasana today. It can always be absolutely any shape you'd like. Most importantly, just prioritizing somewhere that feels like it will give the body relative support or comfort. If you've got any layers you want to put on or lights you want to turn down, as I'm doing now, take your time just to care for your practice, set anything up that you need. Once you do feel ready, no rush if you're doing your thing, take your time. Invitation, just as we began, to take a couple deep sighs, signifying this release of the physical practice. Letting it go. Giving yourself this time and this space just to simply begin to soften, to begin to open, to let go. When you feel ready, you can just gently start to find the breath again. Inviting it to deepen, maybe noticing the effect that that might have on the body as you just gently begin to welcome yourself back. Maybe taking the hands gently to the body, or just beginning to welcome in any little movements that allow you to start to find this sense of returning, of welcoming yourself back. Whether it be stretching, rolling to one side. Take all the time you need, be gentle with yourself. As and when you do feel ready, we'll start to make our way back to a seat where we'll close our practice today. Take your time to get there, any stretches, any props you need along the way. Just taking this time to care for the body, care for your practice. As we gently come back to return. Once seated, gently allowing the top of the head to lift. The shoulders to soften. And just softly lifting the center of the chest. Perhaps coming back to this listening, this friendship and this connection. Just gently meeting yourself here. Now I'm going to close us today with the same words that we began with from our lovely, lovely Bob. And so Bob teaches, don't meditate to fix yourself, to heal yourself, to improve yourself, or to redeem yourself. Rather do it as an act of love, of deep, warm friendship to yourself. In this way, there's no longer any need for the subtle aggression of self-improvement, for the endless guilt of not doing enough. It offers the possibility of an end to the ceaseless round of trying so hard that wraps so many people's lives in a knot. Instead, there is now meditation practice as an act of love. How endlessly delightful and encouraging. So however your practice may have manifested today, giving yourself acknowledgement for this symbol of care and support that you carved out just by being here today. When you feel ready, we'll take the hands to prayer at the center of the chest. Inhaling to lift the top of the head. Exhaling to gently bow the head to the hands. Bowing to your heart, thanking yourself again. Thanking that absolutely fabulous body that continues to support you. And then acknowledging and honoring the practice and the teachings themselves. This practice in one form or another has been being practiced for thousands and thousands of years, and it's sort of wiggled its way across continents, cultures, all the way to sort of be with us in this way here today. So we honor the teachings and the ancestors of these teachings. You can take your time just to gently close your practice down and seal this space in your own way. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Always, always a pleasure to have you. I hope the voiceover wasn't too strange. Sometimes our mic runs out of battery, hey. Anyway, if there's anything you need, I think is what I'm saying here, always feel free to reach out. Oh, and that's it. If there was anything else you fancy up on this platform, shorter things, longer things, faster things, more gentle things, yeah, at any point, feel free just to write me a message and let me know. And depending on when you are watching this, I've just announced a retreat in Spain for next year. It's going to be April, May, 6 days. Oh, that looks so good. I'm very, very excited. I would love to have any of you guys come. So if you want more details, it's up on my website and my socials, or just send me a message. Have a fabulous day. Lots and lots and lots of love. Hope to see you again soon.